Alaman nyo.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whenever you may be. This is the overnight. I am Dan Foss, and tonight we've got Guns and Barbecue. How's it going, Barbecue?
Fair to Midland. How about yourself? Thanks for hosting.
I'm doing all right. Hillbilly up. How you doing?
Hey, buddy, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
And Gizzard Gary. How you doing?
Good day, sir. Doing well, thank you.
Well, that's good to hear. And it is for me, it's still the 4th. So it's May the 4th be with you. For some of you, Cinco de Mayo or Revenge of the 5th. And I didn't have a topic, didn't know what to do, and I realized it was the 4th. So I thought we would look at guns of Star Wars. But I thought it might be kind of boring just looking at them. This is
So
this one.
we get
This is
to
that one.
So you're sending them to us in the mail?
No, we are. We're gonna do a bracket.
That was like the coolest thing I ever friggin' seen in my life.
Yeah, it's when the more I thought about it, I thought that's kind of the only way to make it fun is to actually do another bracket. Maybe that'll wash the taste of that was gonna sound bad. I was gonna say wash the taste of Barney Fife out of my mouth, but
I
that's the best way to put it.
Wash the taste of it. I thought he was going to say, "Could wash the taste of guns, beer, and therapy out of everybody's mouth for tonight."
So let's before we do that, let's see who was out there. Sergeant Joe Smith was out there earlier, and he's like Schrodinger's cat. He is either asleep, well, he is both asleep and not asleep, and you won't know until you open the box. Gun websites. Hopefully he'll join us if he's still up and about. The Saint, Mr. Bob Dabalina, Hillbilly Up and Gizzard, Ron Wayne, and Midget with Carrot Cake. Good evening. Oh, he's going to watch later. Uh-oh, Mini Wayne.
Woohoo!
It got a little creepy in here.
Mini Wayne 24.
Oh lordy, Midnight Range. Do you want a link, Midnight? Or are you gonna be up, or are you gonna head to bed?
I got him on a text.
If he wants a link, if you can send him one,
I can do that.
appreciate it. But let me do. Oh, where's the banner? Let me get the banner going here. Let me get the right banner. This one. There we go. At the bottom of the screen, there's an email address and a link. Those get you somewhere. You can send in comment suggestions or pictures within reason. And if you watch this in replay, leave a comment. Whatever we talk about, agree with, disagree with, let me know. I read all the comments. So let me do it this way. And open that. There we go. And then I will present that. There we go. So I picked 16 different guns. It was kind of hard to actually either get a good picture of the gun or ones that kind of look neat, because there's a lot of guns where you can't see it very well, or they're just kind of a cobble of things that it's hard to tell what it is. Carlos is out there. Good evening. So first off, this is the ELG3. It's completely fabricated, so it's not. Some of these pictures I'll show what gun they're based off of in real life. This is one that's completely fabricated.
I almost have a pop rivet gun that looks real similar to that for pop rivets.
I can believe that. And Ron Wine saying, wasn't it a fireplace lighter? It could be. I'm just kind of going based on the couple of resources that I use. So if there's a difference, don't blame me. Because I use like Wikipedia and basically the IMDb for firearms in movies.
Did you say Wikipedia?
Yeah.
See what you did there.
Well, no, it's actually Wikipedia. There is a Wikipedia for Star Wars.
I believe it.
So that's the first one. Then we've got Han Solo's blaster, which it didn't have a name. It just said Lando's, or no, I think I said Han Solo. Lando Calrissian's blaster, which is based off an H&K P9. It's basically a P9 with stuff stuck to it. Cad Bane. He's got a was it a Colt Walker Navy? I forget how they listed, but I don't know the newer Star Wars series. I haven't seen any of them. I don't get any of those channels. So this is an effort to kind of bring in some of the newer stuff. Because I know the older stuff, not the newer stuff. Warhammer is out there. Good evening. Then they had this is the M45 in the movie. That's an M60. The MWC 35C. This is from Rogue One, and it's based off Saiga, however you pronounce it. Which I love Rogue One. I know it creates some problems within the Star Wars universe You know, when you look at how Darth Vader, when he comes in and he's kicking ass and it's awesome, but if you compare it to the original movie, he's not quite as awesome. And the A300, which is basically an AR-15. This is also for Rogue One, and this, I think this is a still shot. Both this and the previous one weren't used in the movie, but there are a bunch of these A300s, and then the Ambin Phase Pulse Blaster. And I think the original mock-up was the receiver was AK-74, but from what I read, the movie prop was completely fabricated. And Chewbacca's bowcaster, which is a crossbow. CA-87, that's the Jawas, what they shoot at R2-D2, and it's an Lee Enfield that's cut down. They cut it right back behind the trigger guard, and then like right in front of the chamber. So it's really short. And Princess Leia's Defender blaster. It's a 22 pistol, and I forgot the name of the pistol. And DH-171, this is A New Hope. All the Rebels have these, and it's based off of Sterling. There's a couple guns that are based off the Sterlings. And then the DL-44 blaster, Han Solo's gun. So the broom-handled Mauser. The DLT-19, the MG-34, I think it was. And if you guys have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to pipe up. DT-12, it's a Ruger Mark I. That's Greedo's gun. Han shot first. Then the E11, basically the Empire's brown best, is also a Sterling. The EE3 Boba Fett's, it's a Webley flare gun. And that's the last one, I guess. So any comments or suggestions before we get going here?
Which one is Barney 5?
Barney Fife is not canon.
No stormtrooper guns?
Yeah, there were. That was the E11 was the stormtrooper gun. Oop, let me get rid of that. Oop, there we go. And then I will bring up the there it is. Our tournament bracket. So let me mix them up here. Shuffle. One more time. Yeah, this is going to be tougher than I thought because I know what each gun is because I'm looking at the pictures, but everybody might not know what the guns are based on their names. I didn't plan this out very well.
Well, maybe like you can tell us when we come to each gun, like which character was using it, because that might help us out.
Yeah, and I can't put the description on here because it'll be too long, so you won't be able to see all of the information at one time. But so yeah, we'll do that way. So the first matchup is Lando's Blaster. That was the H&K P9, and the Gurzer Guri. How's it going? You're
That's quite the character.
Yeah, and he's
It is.
muted.
Nice.
Are you talking?
I sure am. Can you hear me?
Now I
Yeah.
can. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I said I like what you've done with the place. It's nice. It smells a little funny. Kind of smells like old feet and raccoons, but it's nice.
Yeah, it's hard to get the smell out.
Yeah, you know, you gotta Febreze it and stuff. So I'm gonna warn you right now. I've worked. I've been at work 28 hours in 2 days, so there is a 100% chance that I'm gonna fall asleep on your show.
Oh, I hope you do it before me.
It wouldn't be the first time.
That's all right. But thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Nice to see you.
absolutely.
Been a
Good to
while.
see you, brother. I know, money. I missed you. So what are we talking about here? Guns and such and shit and cartoons? And stuff?
Guns from Star Wars.
Never heard of it.
It's kind of like Wagon Train to the Stars.
Oh, okay, cool. Gotcha. Like Oregon Trail, but with aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I can dig it.
Kind of like the Donner Party, except they didn't eat humans.
Oh,
Oh, darn it.
more like the Dahmer Party. Gotcha. Dahmer Party of one.
So our first matchup is Lando's Blaster. His was based off a H&K P9, and the LL30, which was Cad Bane, Colt Walker, Navy, whatever. So out of those two, Gizur Guri.
Same again. What were they?
Lando's Blaster and Cad Bane's LL30. So you got a HK P9 versus like a Colt Walker.
I don't know who the hell Cad Bane is, so we're gonna go with Lando.
One for Lando.
He's a ladies' man, just like me.
Oh yeah, Colt 45. Guns and Barbecue.
By chance, is Lando the one that was carrying the walker?
No.
Darn it. But Lando sounds like such a cooler name, so we're going with Lando.
2 for Lando.
He just doesn't want to sound racist, so he picked him.
Hillbilly.
I think I'll go with Lando's Blaster too.
Lando. So Gizzard Guri.
Yeah, let's make it 4. Lando's
Wow.
Blaster.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going with Lando also because it's an H&K. I do like the Cad Bane character. I didn't see any of the live action stuff, but Cad Bane from Rebels, Star Wars Rebels cartoon. So Lando does move on. So now you got Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like we need Bear in here for this bracket.
He's probably sleeping.
Probably.
So now we've got the E11. That's the Stormtrooper blasters. They're kind of generic. Everybody has one blaster. Against the A300, that was from Rogue One, the AR-15s. Gizzard Guri.
Well, I was going to say the Stormtrooper blaster because, like, didn't they were kind of almost looked like AR pistols in a way with the buffer tube hanging out the back, huh? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, they're basically Sterlings.
Oh, they're made out of silver. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Stormtrooper blaster because you could play with them with your friends, and they're so inaccurate you wouldn't even hurt each other.
Barbecue.
I was really wanting to go with the Stormtrooper blaster until you said, everybody has one and made it sound like it's 9mm. Now I have to go with the other thing that you mentioned that is like an AR-15.
One for the A300.
Yes, that. Thank you.
And Hillbilly.
Yeah, both of them look pretty cool. But I did like the looks of the A300 better. I mean, in the fact that their blaster didn't have the magazine that went on the side. So,
Gizzard.
I want the A300.
A300. And Ron Wayne said A300. And he had said the Colt Walker earlier. Vanessa Kitty's out there. Good morning. Mike McLuhan's out looking for beer out there. Good evening. And I'm going to go.
Worthwhile task.
I'm going to go the E11 just because it is, I would say, iconic for Star Wars. But the A300's moving on. So now we've got, now I got to. So the DH-171, that's the Rebels. When at the beginning of A New Hope, when they're being boarded, that's the gun that all the Rebels have. Also based on the Sterling. Up against the Ambien Phase Pulse rifle blaster. That's Boba Fett's big long gun with the prongs out front.
Oh yeah. Well, I think you got to go with that just because it's pretty cool looking.
It is cooler looking than the other one.
Yeah.
Barbecue.
I think you're gonna go with Boba Fett's Trident gun.
And you can make s'mores with it.
Oh, that's a
If
great
you-
point.
You know what I mean? You make s'mores or
Yep.
hot dogs, sausages, maybe.
And if you can make hot dogs, you can make sandwiches.
Little goddamn hot dog sandwiches and some Sasquatch. Some Sasquatches. That's French for sausages.
Hillbilly.
I want to go with the Pulse because I think it's really cool to have a tuning fork out there on the end of the barrel.
That's true. You could be a better singer with that too.
Yeah, we sit around the campfires at night and have a cold one.
That is
Everybody
a
getting pitched.
that's a multitasker.
Heck yeah.
And you can
Midnight
frogs.
Midnight Strange BM.
Give me the Pulse.
Pulse.
All right.
I'm going to vote the same. It is a lot cooler than the Rebel gun. So it is moving on. So now you've got the Bowcaster, Chewbacca's crossbow against the M45, which was the M60. Gizzard Guri.
Hold on, I'm looking up that M45 thing here.
I can show you the picture of it.
Yeah, do that. Let's do that. Do the damn thing.
So,
Because if it's at all cool looking, it's gonna beat the bowcaster thing. Because I always thought that was goofy.
so let me switch for a second. Do that one, and so this guy's gun there in the window.
Oh yeah. Oh, it looks like. Oh yeah. Yeah. We're gonna go with that for sure. Because I'll tell you what, I always thought it was kind of weird. You got this 7-foot alien monster Sasquatch that could rip your arms and legs off and bang your face if it wanted to, and then it was shooting like this little teeny tiny little crossbow zapper gun. That's kind of dumb.
Well, in Star Wars, he doesn't even shoot it.
Yeah, he just runs around with it. It's like slung on his back and shit. Stupid. Move on.
Barbecue.
I mean, the only thing that I know that could kill Chewbacca is a moon. So whether you have that cool M60 thing or not, it's not going to matter. So I got to go with Chewbacca.
One for the bowcaster. Hillbilly.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with the N45 because I think regular compound bow is better than a.
Midnight Strange.
Give me the M45.
And 2 zigzags.
Vulcan Ruffles out there.
I just always thought it was weird. Why would you need the crossbow thing sticking off the side if it's laser and it doesn't have a string?
That's a good question.
I always thought it was probably like George Lucas's, like when he was a kid, he's like, I know what we'll do. We'll get a crossbow and we'll shoot laser beams out of it. And then he grew up and he was like, I remember that idea, and he just went with it. That was a pretty good Lucas too, by the way.
That was Vulcan Rumbles out there. Good evening. So I'm gonna go with the M45 because it's an M60. I'm a big fan of the pig, so M45 is moving on. So now, hang on, I gotta look up, see which one's which. The CA-87. Oh, that was the Jawas gun that when they shoot the R2-D2 in the desert on Tatooine. And that's based off of Lee Enfield versus Princess Leia's Defender Blaster. Yeah, A New Hope, when they get boarded and she kills the stormtrooper and then they stun her. So Gizzard Guri.
Looking at a picture right now of the Princess Leia blaster. I'm trying to. Oh, I'm lost it. Skip me. Come back to me.
All right. Guns Barbecue.
Shit. Admittedly, like the only Star Wars I've ever seen is the original trilogy. So some of this, I'm just like, oh God, I have no idea. So I'm gonna send mine out to the audience on this one.
Hillbilly.
I want to go with the CA-87.
CA-87. So we've got one for that. Midnight Strange.
I'm gonna go with the Defender Blaster.
Defender Blaster. One for that. And Ron Wayne had asked didn't the Hawkman from Flash Gordon use bowcasters? I don't remember. And while we were talking, I was trying to look up a picture of her. And I don't see anybody with crossbows. But, I'm limited to what the Google wants to show me. Because all the pictures that I'm seeing, they're holding swords or clubs. I'm not sure. So Gizzard Guri.
Yeah, I looked up this CA-87 thing, and good God, it looks like somebody built it in a junkyard.
Well, they are
but
Jawas.
That's true. And the one that Princess Leia had is the one with, like, do you have a picture of that?
Yes.
It's like the long, skinny barrel. Is that one?
And yeah, hang on. Let me cycle. Whoop, that's the wrong picture.
Yeah. She had basically, wasn't it 22 or something?
Yeah. So it was. Let me get off that. Present that.
Are Jawas like the little overgrown gremlin people that wear?
Yeah, they got
hoodies?
the. So this is
Or
the
monk
Defender,
robes.
and then this is the 22 it's based on.
Man, they both suck. Which one sucks less? Boy.
Yeah, the Jawas are the midgets with the or little people with the brown robes in the
Like
desert.
Garrett?
No, taking it back. You already said midget.
Yeah,
I guess we're gonna have to go with the Princess Leia one. It was intended to be a short range weapon, whereas the other one was a rifle that they took all the way down to the damn breech, damn near, and that's just weird.
So Barbecue gave his vote out to the chat, so we need the chat to vote on this one. So we need at least one person out there to vote for either the Jawa gun or the Princess Leia gun. While we're waiting, we can move on to the MWC 35C. That's the one based off of the Sega from Rogue
so-
One.
Sega.
Let's throw a picture up there. Let's see this son of a bitch.
Jesus
If they
Christ,
won't
I showed
vote,
all
I-
these pictures earlier.
If they won't vote, I
in
can
the
vote.
shower. I had to get a shower.
Playing with his love gun.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Did you see Rogue One?
Nope.
No. Is it based on a A12?
Looks like a High Point carbine.
It's a Sega.
Or a Sega.
But in the movie, it's a backpack gun. It's got a backpack and for ammunition. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll allow it. And okay, and what's the next one?
And that was the ELG 3A, which was that was Amidala's gun in Phantom Menace. I'll show you a picture.
Thanks, guy.
That gun.
Oh, that's weird. No, we're gonna go with the AK pattern. That looks like a hot glue gun. We don't need that.
So we've got one for that. Barbecue. Did you fall asleep?
No, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Oh, okay. The one that's based on the Sega. Just
So,
because I like Sonic the Hedgehog.
2 for the Sega. And going back to the last one, we've got Eric M509 said Jawa, Vulcan, Rumble, Jawa, Carlos said Jawa. So that would give make that 2 and 2. And so I'm gonna say Princess Leia. So the Defender Blaster is gonna move on for that one. So back to
Nice.
one more on Hillbilly.
Not the barbecue lighter, but the rifle. Whichever one that was.
So the MWC 35C. Midnight Strange.
I want the barbecue lighter.
Weirdo.
One. And I'm going Sega. So that one is moving on. Mr. Gear websites. I'm going Sega. How's it going? You're muted.
Oh, I'm trying to figure this all out. Never been on one of these before.
Well, you're welcome.
Hey, thanks for the link. Are you doing a bracket?
We're doing a bracket. Guns from Star Wars. Since it is May the 4th.
Nice.
So now we've got the DL-44 blaster. That's Han Solo's gun. Versus the DT-12, which was... Oh, that was Greedo's gun. Based off Ruger Mark 1. G-Webs, which would you vote for?
So Han Solos versus Greedos?
Yep.
Can't remember Greedos, so I guess I'll go with Han Solos.
Yeah, Greedos is Ruger Mark 1, basically. Gizzard Guri.
I'm gonna go with Han Solo. He's quick on the draw.
Barbecue.
I'm gonna have to go with Solo.
Han Solo. Hillbilly.
Kind of tough one. I like the Rigger Mark III, but I'm gonna have to go with the Cowboy Solo.
Midnight Strange.
Solo.
So I'm going to say Solo also. So we'll just move Solo on. And Ron Wade said Han fired first. He did. Now we've got the EE3, which was Boba. I believe that's Boba Fett's. Yeah. It's from, at least in the Return of the Jedi. Based off a flare gun against the DLT-19, which was the MG-34, the stormtrooper machine gun looking thing. G-Webs?
What was the second one? DL what? 13?
DL-19. DLT-19. Do you have a vote on this one?
So the thing that was the giant Star Wars stormtrooper gun or Boba Fett's gun?
Yeah. Yeah, the one that Luke Skywalker cuts in half on the barge.
Stormtroopers. Boba Fett's gun was always dumb. Plus, Stormtrooper's gun is super cool.
Gizzard Guri.
I think I'm gonna go with Boba Fett's because it's kind of cool. It's like steampunkish. I think it's kind of neat.
Guns and barbecue.
Well, I already said you ruined Stormtrooper guns for me because you basically made them 9mm. Plus, back in the day, I played a game called Desert Storm, and in that, I could shoot people with flare guns, and they'd run around on fire. It was really cool. So definitely got to go with Boba Fett's gun.
Baron is out there. He said
Baron.
Star Trek TNG phasers are better than Star Wars blasters.
Shut your dirty mouth.
He's not wrong.
Hillbilly.
I think I'm gonna go with the tuned up flare gun. I like that.
So 3 for Boba Fett. Midnight Strange.
Give me a Boba Fett also.
I'm gonna go with the DLT. I think they're both cool, and even though it's based on a Nutsy gun, I don't like Nutsies, but I'm gonna vote for it. But the EE-33 Boba Fett is moving on. Cowgirl Candace said, I love Desert Storm as a kid. So now we've got Lando's blaster, that's the H&K P9, versus the A300, which is basically AR-15s in Rogue One. Gizzard Gur, G-Webs. You have a
I'm
vote
looking
on
these
this?
things. Well, I'm looking these things up as we're just talking about them. So, what was the first one again?
I can show you pictures. I got pictures.
What? This whole time you've got pictures over there?
Well, I showed the pictures at the beginning, like I normally do.
He's actually showed them twice now.
Yeah.
Supposed to be 3
So
times.
what was the other one? A300 versus what?
Lando's blaster. I couldn't find a number designation for it. They just call it Lando's blaster.
I'm gonna go with the Lando's one, I guess. Even though it's
So,
stupid.
well, I'll go ahead and show it. Lando's blaster here.
Oh, I got different ones on my search, so that's dumb as hell. I'm gonna go with the other one, I guess, even though I don't like it from Rogue One.
So you're going the AR-15.
Yeah, this looks like the prop person was asleep, and they're like, "Oh, wait, here's a futuristic gun." And they just put like a toothbrush on top of a gun. So yeah, that looks dumb.
Gizzard Guri.
Stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper.
Yeah, that was last time. This time it's an AR-15 from Rogue One.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that thing.
Barbecue.
Well, I mean, this is America, so if you don't like AR-15s, like, why don't you just get out? So, the AR-15.
We can get rid of that. And go back to, there we go. Hillbilly.
I'll go with the AR-15 also.
4. Midnight Strange.
AR-15.
5. I'm gonna go Lando just because it's an HK. Oh. There we go. So
I saw that.
the A300 is moving on. So now the Ambin Phase Pulse Blaster Rifle versus the M45, which is an M60. G-Webs.
Whose are they though?
Oh, the Ambin Blast. That's Boba Fett, like from the Christmas special in the cartoon, and then the Mandalorian I think had one too. It's got the tuning fork on the front.
And
Looks
then what
like
was the other one? What's it against?
M45. It's from Rogue One. It's an M60.
Oh, the one that guy carries around.
No, it's on one of the transports.
Oh, I liked Rogue One, but they called it in. They just phoned it in with their guns. So the Boba Fett one is pretty cool. So the Boba Fett one.
Gizzard Guri.
It's the Boba Fett one, and which one again?
The M60.
M60.
So one for there and Guns Barbecue.
M60.
Hillbilly.
I want to go with the Pulse. I always thought that was a cool looking gun.
Midnight Strange.
I want that Ambin phase puzzle.
Oh. Oops. Yeah.
Because it just sounds cool.
Yeah, I may have misspelled that one. Wonder if I change it on the first one, if it'll change it on all of them. The pulley. There we go. Nope. Oh well. Oh. So I'm gonna go with the M60 because it's an M60. So this is gonna have to go out to the chat to be a tiebreaker. So are you gonna vote for the Ambin Pulse? Oh, it did fix it. Well, no, it didn't fix it. Ambin Pulse Rifle Blaster or the M45, which was the M60. So while we wait to see what the chat votes on, we can go on to the Defender Blaster. That was Princess Leia's gun, or the MWC 35C from Rogue One, which was based off of Sega. G-Webs.
Wait, what was that second one again? But it's going to be Princess Leia's gun, so it doesn't matter.
Oh.
What was the second one, though?
That was the MWC 35C.
Okay, but still Princess Leia's gun.
Oh, okay. So one for the Defender Blaster. Gizzard Guri.
Oh, this is that gun that one guy was carrying with the vacuum cleaner on it.
Yeah.
They phoned those guns in.
Has maybe dozed off. Gizzard Guri. Laying on the floor.
He was making flapjacks and they started burning and he just got all upset and started crying and he's just laying on the floor with a bunch of burnt pancakes happening.
In the
Fetal
fetal position.
Rocking back and forth.
Well, Barbecue, we'll go to you.
God damn
I'm gonna
it.
go.
I wasn't asleep. I had that damn thing muted and didn't know it.
So,
I sent him a text. Admit you're asleep.
No, well, it actually wasn't. I was just laying here and I kept talking, and all of a sudden it was like barbecue. I'm like, oh shit.
so you going Princess Leia's gun or the one from Rogue One?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. So now Barbecue.
I'm gonna have to go with Leia's gun just because the barrel reminds me of a Super Red Hawk.
Ah.
Isn't
Hillbilly?
Princess Leia's gun made off of that Russian gun?
Off of 22. I'm not sure if it's Russian, but that's probably because it's like a Maskov or something like that. I
I'll
forget
go
the
with
name.
the NWC.
So 2-2. Oops. I didn't put 12. 2. 2 and 2. Midnight Strange.
Princess Leia.
So let's go back out and see what we've got. I don't know if this was a vote for that by Bob, but we've got Ron White said Ambin, Carlos said M60, Baron said Ambin. So should we count that as Ambin since we're not sure about what Bob voted?
Yeah.
Bob's comment was up there, like when he was talking about it before, but I don't know if that was a vote or not.
So, well, we're going to give it to the Ambin, and we're going to need the chat to vote again because I'm voting for the Sega. It was a cool gun in the movie. A lot of firepower, and I like the character.
How is it a Sega? You're talking like a Sega, like a 12?
Yep, it's based off. They built it off a Sega shotgun. So we need the chat to vote while we're waiting to get some votes on either the Princess Leia's gun or the Rogue One gun. The DL-44 Han Solo or the EE-3, which was Boba Fett's gun. G-Webs?
Oh, I was looking something up. What was it again?
The DL-44 blaster, that was Han Solo's gun. Or the EE-3, which was who's a what's its gun?
EE-43?
EE-3.
Oh.
Boba Fett's gun.
Oh.
The flare gun.
I don't like Boba Fett's gun, so I guess I don't like Han Solo's gun either, so that's neither one of those, but I'm going to go with Han Solo's, I guess.
Gizzard Guri?
I guess we got to go with Han Solo's gun.
So 2 for Han Solo. Barbecue?
Gonna have to default back to video game where I shoot people with flare guns and they run around burning. So Boba Fett's.
So 1 for Boba Fett. Hillbilly.
I'm gonna go with the glorified flare gun T.
So we're tied at 2 and 2. Midnight Strange.
Let's go with the flare gun.
Flare gun. So 3. Looking back at the chat, Baron said Defender Blaster. Ron Wayne said Rogue One. Bob Davalina said MWC 35C. Carlos said Rogue One. So I think we're going to say that the MWC is going to move on. And for this, I'm going to vote Boba Fett. So now we've got the A300, the AR-15, versus the Ambin Phase Puzzle blaster rifle.
Wait,
G-Webs.
Ambien versus what? What was the other one?
The A300. It's Rogue One, the AR-15s. That the
Oh, Boba Fett's thing with the tuning fork on it.
Gizzard Guri.
The second one.
So the Ambin.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Barbecue.
Oh, I was muted like midnight crap. The second one.
So 3 for Ambin. Hillbilly.
I'm gonna go with the Puzzle T.
Midnight Strange.
Yeah, let's do the puzzle.
So 5 for the puzzle. And I'm going to go with the puzzle over the AR-15. So that one moves on. Now we've got the MWC 35C from Rogue One versus the EE3 Boba Fett's gun. G-Webs.
All right, sorry. Boba Fett's versus who?
The Sega from the backpack Sega from
Oh,
Rogue One.
Boba Fett. I don't like that vacuum cleaner gun.
So 1 for Boba Fett. Gizaguri. Are you there?
Huh? I'll say it again. I'm sorry. I 100% dozed off.
That's all right. If at any time you feel the need to go lay down, go please.
Well, that's the problem. I am laying down. That's the
Oh.
kiss of death right there.
So the Boba Fett's gun versus the Sega from the backpack Sega from.
So this is the
Rogue One.
Boba Fett gun. That's like the
Flare gun.
not the
flare
yeah,
gun.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that one. I think that one's pretty cool.
So barbecue.
Flare gun.
3 for 1. So we might end up with Boba Fett versus Boba Fett. Hillbilly.
Oh, what's the other Boba
Man.
Fett one?
As much
That-
as I like the flare gun, I like the NWC way better in the movie. That thing was awesome.
The Ambin and the flare gun are both
Oh, okay.
Midnight Strange.
Flare gun.
Flare gun. I'm voting the MWC. But flare gun moves on. So we've got a final of the EE3 flare gun against the Ambin pulse rifle. So Boba Fett versus Boba Fett. G-Webs.
Oh, the tuning fork for sure.
So 1 for the tuning fork. Gizaguri.
Not the tuning fork. The little guy.
Oops. 1 and 1.
I don't need a marshmallow stick.
Guns and barbecue.
Flare gun.
So 2. Hillbilly.
I'm going with the Ambien.
Midnight Strange.
This is a toughie. But I'm gonna have to go with the puzzle.
So the puzzle. I'm going to also go with the puzzle because CloverTac built one. Oops.
He did.
So why don't we fix that since it was.
We'll see.
There we go. So the best gun in Star Wars is the Ambin Pulse or Phase Pulse Blaster Rifle. Disintegrator. Tuning fork. Marshmallow roaster.
Well, wasn't that used though also in the other movie too?
The Mandalorian also.
Yeah,
used
the
it.
Mandalorian.
Yeah. So that is not. I expected the DL-44 blaster to win because that's the one everybody talks about.
Ever since Barney Fife, you can't predict these brackets anymore.
I cannot. This one makes a little more sense than the Barney Fife one, but so the Ammon Phase Pulse Rifle.
Can you throw up the picture of that again?
Ron Wayne said, "I vote Barney's revolver." And Barron's the TNG phasers disintegrate also. Yeah, I can bring up a picture here of that. Give me just a second here. Collar, there it is. The window and oh, that's the wrong. That's
a
not what I
mega
want.
window.
Not sure why it did that.
That was cool.
There we go. This is the Mandalorian, but that's the same rifle. But it wasn't.
Boba Fett ever actually use it besides the Christmas special, though?
No.
Well, we all had that tuning fork thing in our heads since 77 or whatever that was. No, it wasn't 77. When was that Christmas special? 81?
Ooh, I'm not sure.
It was somewhere between them.
I think I had that same Tasco scope as you got.
Ron White said the receiver reminds me of a BAR. If Star Wars had a BAR in it, that's what I would have voted for. What were you saying, G-Webs?
His other one looks just like too much like a revolver to me. It looks like they just started adding stuff to a revolver, so it bothers me.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was Barney Five's revolver, and then they just added stuff.
Glued a bunch of flashlights to it and duct tape a pipe or two, and then boom, it's a space gun.
Lord Vader, we need to nip it in the bud. I thought Gary would have caught when I described Star Wars as wagon train to the stars.
Oh, I caught it.
Okay. That's how they sold Star Trek to the network.
Yep.
I don't know what else we want to talk about.
What'd you do about all them googly eyes? Did you have to just throw all that stuff away?
No, I pulled them off. If it was just one or two, I would have left them, but it was too many. I had to take them off. It was funny. Yeah, I thought it was really funny. Our bookkeeper said that she had read something about there being the internet challenge about googly eyes, so that's probably what it was. Ron Wayne, have a good night.
We'll see you, Ron.
Gizaguri, have a good night. If you're go lay down, stop moving.
Good night, guys. I'm gonna go take a little sleepy nap.
Sleep well.
Night, buddy.
See you.
midnight. I've been looking at hard-sided luggage because I need to buy a small bag. I wanted one with latches, and apparently those aren't really a thing anymore. You can find them, but luggage has changed quite a bit.
Well, it sure has.
In my head, I was expecting the same luggage from the 70s and 80s that I'm used to for hard-sided luggage, but no. And if you want latches instead of zippers, they call them zipperless luggage. So having latches is an oddity now.
Wow. I never bought any luggage in my life. We always just use duffel bags and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, I want a hard-sided with latches because I was gonna bring a couple guns to Thunder on the Prairie, so
Yeah.
I can't put it in a duffel bag.
Nope.
And
Definitely.
with zippers, I know it's maybe being a little overly cautious, but with zippered luggage, if you take a pen, you can just poke it in the zipper and it'll pop open. Just poke a pen in there and run it, and it'll open that zipper. And I had bought one, and it was kind of flimsy, and I don't know, I talked about it. Might have been just in the after chat, I don't remember. But I had also bought a Plano case, but the Plano case was half the size of the carry-on that I had bought. Ended up sending both of them back.
I think I got my case from Harbor Freight.
I'm just gonna use. I don't know where I put it. Oh, right here. I'm just probably just end up using my Kimber case. It's sturdy. It's got a couple lock places you can lock it, and it fits what I want to bring. So I'll probably just use that. And I've got my friend Justin, who lives in Omaha. He's going to go to Thunder on the Prairie.
Oh, cool.
And I'm hoping he brings his Tommy gun. He's got a semi-auto Tommy gun. But last year, I stayed with him the Friday night, and we went out to the range, and I got to shoot his gun. But he's signed up, and told him he can bring stuff to shoot if he wants to. So he's looking forward to it. And he's been in I did a couple shorts from when we were together at the range. So he's not technically a YouTube guy, but he's been in YouTube videos. So, and I've known him 25 years, I think. So I'm excited and looking forward to meeting up with everybody again out in Nebraska.
So you're coming forth to Firth.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. We need something else to talk about because can't think of anything to talk about. So, what's everybody want to talk about?
How many of the Star Wars movies have you seen?
Movies? I've seen all the movies. The TV shows I've seen the cartoons, but not the live action. All of the newer Star Wars suck. The prequels were mediocre. How many have you seen?
So when you count the Star Wars movies, like say they're numbered, so that's where I get confused. So with the prequels and all that, do you count those like number 1, 2, and or where? How do people rank those as far as if you wanted to watch them like the way they would actually play out compared, counting the prequels and everything?
I don't know. That for me, that's kind of tough. If somebody asked me what order, I would probably tell them the order they were released. But
Okay. 'Cause I got really confused, watch the new Star Wars movie and then like it's a prequel and I'm like, okay, now I'm all lost here. At first that I kind of caught up a little bit, but I was still kind of confused on some of those, which order
when
they would lay.
when I think about the movies, I don't in my head I don't go by the numbers. Like A New Hope is number 4. But I just go, we'll go by the name. And then I know that the 3 original and then the 3 prequels and then the later garbage. So. And I knew that the later ones weren't going to be good, but because I'm a Star Wars sucker, I went and watched them anyways. And was completely dissatisfied.
Yeah, I like Rogue One the best, and then I guess you have to watch them from the worst ones to the good ones to the bad ones in order that they're supposed to be in, I guess. But I don't know. It's actually pretty tough. I think one of the neat things about Star Wars, though, is that there's so much of it. We don't have very many movies that they added so much stuff to that it's complicated. Usually you get one and then a second one, and then that's it. So, and then it was a cultural phenomenon for so many of us. I think it's a neat element to it. But I've seen everything except for a couple of I've started watching all the cartoons, but some of them didn't keep my attention. I only watched the first couple of episodes of some of them, but I try everything at some point.
For the cartoons, Rebels, I think, is the best. The Clone Wars, I couldn't get past the animation. I did not like the way the animation looked.
Yeah, I'd have to say it's a effort and compromise, I guess. Like, it's hard to like everything about Star Wars because there's so much of the bad stuff in there, but that's just because there's so much of it. But some of the stories, I forget which ones. I don't even remember which one of the cartoons. I agree with you. Some of the animation is dumb, but again, I like that at least there's a variety. It's not just like, here, we gave you Star Wars animation, period, and this is it. It's all the same. It kind of is all different. But the stories, is it Clone Wars where they have the whole story of the Mandalorian planet and stuff? It was way before the live action.
That was they did that in Rebels.
Okay, so Rebels was pretty good just because there was so much from the books or so much from the stuff that wasn't in the movies that there's just, it's like extra. Like you don't expect to see, all the sidelines to a movie that we really just get the main character lines and that's it. And it's not like Dune where there's a lot of it, but it's all the same thing. Like when they expand on Star Wars, they just say, hey, screw it. Let's add a whole nother realm or a whole nother group of planets or a whole nother group, a whole nother thing. So, you might not like it, but they're going to add something totally different to it.
Yeah.
What about the whole Disneyland or whatever it is, Disney World, no land, I guess, where there's a whole element to Star Wars now beyond the toys and beyond the longevity of it where you can go be immersed in it. You have to spend all that money going to Disneyland to be in it.
I don't know. I haven't seen it personally, but you're not allowed to wear costumes. There's none of the original characters.
Wait, what? You're not allowed to dress up as Star Wars to go there?
Nope.
I thought people do that all the time.
Unless they changed the rules, they didn't. They had signs posted that you're not allowed to wear costumes. Star Wars costumes.
That seems so weird.
Yeah, there's kind of been a struggle to weed out the original Star Wars out of Star Wars. So I don't know. Yeah, the first Star Wars I saw was Empire. Saw that in the theater. And I didn't see the original Star Wars, I think, until like the mid 80s on TV. And Return of the Jedi, probably saw it at the drive-in, I think. I don't remember exactly. I was still young enough where I liked the Ewoks. Now, I don't know. Mike Clune said he's making scrambled eggs, bacon, and pancakes while he's listening. Carlos was asking, how about the Kentucky Derby? I don't really follow the horse racing. Oh, I don't know. We kind of petered out here. Are we all done for the night? Anyone? Is anybody out there?
Not getting a lot of responses.
Am I all alone?
You're all alone.
I took a 4-hour nap. to get
I'm
ready
here.
for this.
So what's everybody else got going on?
What thing from Star Wars would you eat versus what thing would you not eat?
None of that stuff you see in the bars when they go to the bars. That's for sure.
One of those porgs. They look good.
Doesn't he take us someplace where he pours some stuff into a thing and then it turns into a biscuit? Like, is that on when he's with Yoda? They show him like pour some powder in something and then add some water to it, and then it just like turns into a biscuit or a bread or something. Or am I crazy? I think I remember.
I don't know. When he's with Yoda, they make stew.
I always figured they should make jackets and coats and stuff based off of Star Wars stuff because some of their stuff looks pretty cool. The support people for the X-Wings.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be cool if they made jackets and stuff like that. I would have totally bought one back in the day.
I saw on I forget. I don't. This was years and years ago. I don't remember if it was eBay or if it was a separate website, but somebody was selling helmets and jackets and might have had the blasters from Battlestar Galactica, the original series. The helmets were like $200 or $300 though.
You're talking like props from the actual show?
No, well, they were remakes. But they looked just like the props from the TV show.
No, I gotta look up what a Battlestar Galactica prop looks like.
Yeah, the Colonial Viper helmet and jacket.
If I remember right, the Battlestar Galactica had pretty cool jackets too. The pilots. All right, I looked up Battlestar Galactica prop guns, and they do not look as cool as Star Wars ones. It definitely looked like they just started from scratch and made some looking good, made some done.
See how large this shows up. So for those who might not remember, this is Battlestar Galactica. This is the Colonial Viper helmet. And this is the one true Starbuck. Sorry. I do not recognize any other Starbuck.
Yeah, I remember that is cool.
So, and I'll show a picture of their jackets. Screen there. That's what their jackets look like.
They'll like make T-shirts from a movie, you know, and then some of them will sell and some of them won't. But if they would have ever made prop clothes, I think they'd hit a whole new market.
There's stuff that, you know, when I was younger, I would love to have, like the jacket and that I just showed and stuff like that. But you know, when you're younger, you can't afford it. Now that I'm older and can afford it, I'm too old and too fat.
Yeah.
To make it look good.
So which ship would you do if they were all sitting in a giant space parking lot? Which ship from Star Wars would you fly around in?
X-Wing.
The Millennium Falcon's kind of like a van. You can put a bunch of people in there, do stuff in it.
If I had to choose between like a Colonial Viper and an X-Wing, that would be tough for me.
What are you talking about? Battlestar Galactica and X-Wing?
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica. You could fly that on your own. You can land it. You don't have to be all weird with an X-Wing. You need a robot and everything.
I had when I was a kid, I did have an X-Wing toy. Late 70s, early 80s. Probably would have been 70s.
I
had
had
one.
an X-Wing for sure.
I took it apart to see how it worked and couldn't figure out how to put it back together.
Well, you couldn't get it back together and work, but you could still make it into an X-Wing again, right?
I don't remember. What about let me see if I can. I hate when you search for something on Google and you're searching by pictures. You see the picture, click on the link, and it doesn't show you the picture that.
Yeah. And if you pull up images, there's always like a watermark on it or something.
What about where in Star Wars would you want to live? I'd go hang out at that big city planet just to go there, but then I wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to live on Tatooine or Hoth. Endor. I'd live on Endor.
With all them Ewoks,
Yeah.
stormtroopers coming in and making a big station there. Hour that morning.
I'll have you to know I
If the planets weren't going to blow up, there's a couple of them that blew up that were all right. Like the one where Rogue One was in with all the emotions and stuff.
So what about the Earth Defense Fighters from Buck Rogers?
The bottom things, you can't just land that somewhere. But they were
They
pretty
do.
cool.
They do land
Yeah.
in places.
Yeah, they got big landing gear on them, but they just seem like the ball of them. Battlestar Galactica is more like a regular thing with wheels. You can just land it, or skids or whatever. You can just land it.
Man, when I was young, I loved Buck Rogers. I thought that was just a cool movie.
How long before we got Twiggy?
Yeah. What was the girl's name in that in real life?
Aaron Gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now she was hot back then, or at least I thought so.
Oh yeah.
And Princess Ardala.
Was that the girl from Buck Rogers?
She was one of the bad guys.
I've never tried to watch Buck Rogers ever again. Is it worth watching at all? Or maybe I did and I didn't like it.
It'll be kind of cheesy, campy.
We had no idea in the 70s. It's like, oh, the future, they're going to have exactly the same things as now, but with sparkles on it or something. Like, we had no idea what the future was going to look like.
But
I really
this
did
was
like the sleeping capsule or whatever. The time to go to bed, you went there and laid down, and bam, you went right to sleep. That'd be nice.
Princess Ardala. She was head of the Draconians, Tiger Man, and Kang.
I'll be willing to do some negotiations.
I've got the lunchbox, and she's on the lunchbox.
I like the consistency between shows that space princesses go around in space bikinis all the time. I don't know. When did May the 4th start? I'm pretty cool. It's pretty cool that Star Wars has a day.
Yeah.
When did you start hearing about May the 4th?
Ooh, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, probably. I don't know how long it's been a thing.
USA Today says, I'm looking it up.
I want to say, like, when I first started realizing, I don't know how long ago it was when, like, people started putting stuff out on Facebook, you know, like the, you know, May the 4th be with you and stuff, like the little memes or whatever you want to call it, I guess.
Oh, snap. It says the earliest use of the phrase, May the 4th be with you, date 2. This according to USA Today. What year do you think that was? Earliest date of the use, May the 4th be with you.
79.
Close.
82.
Nope, going the wrong way. 78.
Oh.
1 year after the release of A New Hope.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty much people figured out that pun immediately. By that summer, newspapers writers had used the phrase to mark Independence Day celebrations. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't recall ever hearing it except,
Till, like,
within the
really-
last 10 years.
Yeah, like I was gonna say 5 or 10 years, maybe. Definitely not the whole time I'm on the internet. Like I never heard about it
Yeah.
until just recently. At least as far as like a bunch of things where people would Instagram it and stuff. It says it resurfaced again in 2005 after Revenge of the Sith because they marketed it with that. Huh. I guess that kind of makes sense. But I'd say I don't remember hearing about it. Well, we didn't also have cultural connection or like, we weren't aware of what each other were doing on a daily. We'd
Yeah.
kind of know cultural phenomenons after they happened back in the day. So I guess it was, what do you call it? Like a side effect of being all connected as much as we've been since the 2000s.
I hate to do it, guys, but I'm fading.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you being here, Gary.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Let's see, Gizzard.
See ya.
Yeah, it wasn't like the first one, like in the late, 77, 78. They have something like a $10 million budget or something, or like, I'm trying to think, 8 million or something. Which that would have been a lot of money back then.
Was that a lot of money compared to other movies though?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I was wondering.
I've seen plenty of things about it, but I don't know. I don't recall enough of it. I remember that it was a big deal, so it wasn't like they were doing it on no budget, but I don't think it was like the biggest budget movie or anything at the time.
Yeah.
Was it?
Oh, a lot of the technology they created
Yeah.
was innovative just for like the motion control cameras.
Mm-hmm. That's a neat part of the thing too, is I've from watching other things and just being around and watching movie general theater, like lore or trivia or whatever, that it's like, what's his name? Spielberg knew what he wanted and he knew what was possible and he knew what should be possible. And he encouraged stuff to be invented that he needed for it. Like he wasn't expecting things that were impossible. He was just kind of nudging things in directions that it could have gone anyway. And it was, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you know what I mean? Like that group of directors that all came out of school at the same time. And, he was one of the first ones to make a big movie with Star Wars. Like that's that new, I don't know if it's new, but it was like another step forward in movie making. So I think Star Wars is like one of the first of those movies, because we've seen a ton of them come from those, 3 or 4 guys that made all them super big movies. So I think Star Wars was like the beginning of like, hey, let's push the envelope a little bit. And then it was successful. So then they could afford to push the envelope all they wanted after that. And then it became the norm to just expect more out of a movie and know that you're going to need to push some things, because then you started getting all the animation stuff. I mean, I think that's technically a direct result of Star Wars, right? Like Pixar and all that other stuff is they invented a bunch of stuff and they're like, hey, wait, why should we just leave this here? After inventing it for just the one movie, let's keep going with this. And
Yesterday's
they did all
Pomades
kinds
out
of
there.
stuff.
Well, even just having the credits at the end of the movie.
Because they had always been at the beginning, wasting everybody's
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I hated
just-
that. I never even knew it.
At Star Wars, I don't know if they were the first, but Lucas, he left the was it SAG or whatever if there's a directors, I think it was SAG, because they wouldn't allow that. So he said, well, screw you guys. I'm going to do my own thing.
And then the way they put it there in space on the way the credits were going, that I always thought that was just the coolest thing,
Yeah.
back in the day.
Because normally that was just a nothing, like, oh, okay. Now you actually had a reason to watch it. It was neat.
So I did go ahead and Google it. It says May 25th, 1977. They did have $11 million budget. But I did notice down here on editing, Paul Hurst, Richard Chew, and Marcia Lucas. So I wonder if that was somebody in George's family that was an editor.
Was it his wife?
I don't know. So maybe they actually had some family knowledge there of, editing and what, the movie, to make it better or different.
I forget what director said that basically for the director, the movie is never done. It's just abandoned because they always want to make changes and make it better. But at some point they have to stop. And that's kind of where the editors come in. And
Okay. So Marcia was married to George Lucas from 69 to 83.
Oh, okay. Because I just looked up George Lucas's wife, and she's the chairwoman of Starbucks. Like I don't think she's working on a movie. She's like a business lady. So that dude got remarried, and he remarried the chairwoman of Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
oh, somebody he won't have to pay alimony to if they divorce.
Okay. So down below that said, why did George Lucas's wife leave him? Despite of her husband's success in films, said the relationship grew tired with George's constant workload. She said he was a workaholic.
Nice. This guy works all the time.
Vulcan Rumble said Lucas not only made the movie, but he also made the equipment to play the movie, and he was marketing the movie equipment to the movie companies. M. Gabriel's out there. Good evening. Good morning. When I've heard younger folks complain about the original Star Wars, but it's more in the context of the special effects not being as good as, it doesn't look as good as more modern special effects.
Really?
Which that's true. It doesn't look as good as some of the new technology that there is, but you have to, for older films, I can enjoy them because I can look at them in the context of when they were made. So if it's a black and white movie from the 20s, I understand it was made in the 20s.
Yeah.
So I look at it in that context.
I watched a version of Star Wars one time, and in space, the TIE fighters had these like squares around them. Like you could see I don't know what that would be, like the masking or something of the layers that they were using to whatever. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that didn't happen in the movie theaters. Also, we all would have been like, oh, this is shitty. So I don't know, something about the playback or, I don't know if you've ever seen that, or I don't know if that's a artifact of the old types of effects, or if it's just watching something old on new equipment or something where it's trying to throw too many resolutions in there or something. But I guess that if that's the case, like if somebody knew, some young person watched a bad version of it, like that, where I think it kind of shines light on some of the errors. But
I-
I can't remember watching that, but I do remember going, "What the hell? How come you can see the masking all around all these ships flying?"
Yeah, that's something that I've noticed, especially I think the first time I noticed was in Empire Strikes Back on Hoth with the when they're flying around the AT-ATs and you can see through the dash of the snow speeder things. You can see the background through the dash. That's when I first remember noticing it, stuff like that.
Like a
And
reflection, you mean, that wasn't masked away?
well, just the overlay, you can see through. So you've got your background, and then they put the ship in front of it, but you can see through the ship a little bit.
Yeah, okay, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And it seems, I don't know if it's I notice it more over the years, or if like the tapes degrade a little bit, so it becomes more noticeable. It
Yeah,
seems
like
to get a
back in the
little
day,
worse.
we were just wowed, and we didn't even realize there was glitches and errors because we were so wowed by everything else, and maybe we were watching it and didn't realize. But now we're more sophisticated in our viewing or something. But I think there's something to it's like if you tried to play a VHS tape on digital, it plays too much of it. Like you can see more, you know what I mean? Like on a VHS tape,
Oh,
it looks
yeah.
better because it's like looking at it without your glasses on or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And to answer M. Gabriel, he said, "Was it you?" He's asking if I was the one that had an Olight that wouldn't recharge. It was not me. I have, I think I might only have one Olight, weapons light, but I've never had a problem with it. Yeah, that was when I bought my first high definition television. That's what I noticed, is how bad the older TV programs looked on with the high definition TV. When you've got CRT TV, you don't notice it because it's fuzzy, like the picture is fuzzy.
Mhm.
But when you've got a clear lens to look at something fuzzy, you realize how fuzzy it looks.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
And I mean, really, Star Wars, their stuff didn't look like it was a model hanging on a, fishing string either. I mean,
Like
I
other
think that
movies
was
back in the
one thing
day,
that-
like some of the airplane movies, they could just look shitty.
yeah.
What I've seen on I think Instagram clips from movies like from Gambia, and where it looks like a junior high kid put together something. But I don't know if all their movies are kind of like that, where it's an action movie, but you can tell that's a toy helicopter and really bad edited stuff. But if that's normal, maybe that's their normal, so they're okay with it. I don't know. Kind of like the older stuff where that's what you're used to, but now when you look at it, how far technology
Oh, yeah.
and technique has progressed.
I mean, yeah, like for sure. Like it was all about the story always, right? It's really you're telling somebody a narrative or a lesson or whatever it is, and you're wrapping it in something kind of interesting. And then this whole like visually or the visual appeal or whatever, the visual element to it is all fairly new. But think about like just stories, and then somebody decided, hey, I'm going to tell this story and turn on a candle or light a candle and then hold my hand in front of it, and that'll create a shadow puppet that flickers. You know what I mean? Like then they said, oh, if I have 3 candles, then it looks brighter and the shadow's more distinct. And somebody went, oh, you know what? I like it with 3 candles. I don't like shadow puppets with just 1 candle. That's so boring. That's old fashioned. You know what I mean? Like this stuff had to happen, or the beginning of all that had to happen so long ago. Because then there was probably people going, oh, did you see that illustrated book? Like, oh, I can't believe they put illustrations in there. I like to think of what the castle's going to look like in my mind. And now they showed me a castle. And then somebody was like, oh, the illustration in this one is colored. You know what I mean? Like throughout time, there had to be these steps that people probably had different opinions on. But like, that people had to deal with. Because, you know, even if you listen to Star Wars audiobook, you got to figure out what an X-Wing looks like. You know what I mean? Everybody's X-Wing is different. Then they put it on a movie, and now we all have the same idea of what an X-Wing looks like, type of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like when you very first got your, you know, VCR or whatever. And, you know, you could sit on a tripod, film for 1 second, like somebody standing there, you know, 1 second off, then have them move 1 second off, you know, and like make a progression. And you play it back. You're like, that is really cool. How'd you do that? And now it's be so cheesy, you know.
But at the time, it was high tech, right? At the time, it was like you're going to forgive all the glitches or irregular, whatever we call them, mistakes or whatever, because of the cool thing that's happening. And yeah, if somebody who knows, you know, 20 years later, they're going to look at that and go, "What are you doing? That's amateurish, or that's stop motion compared to what we got today." But I don't know. Do we look at black and white movies and give them credit for being super cool? Most of the time we look at black and white movies and go, oh man, that's an old movie. What could they have done good in an old movie, you know? So it's probably just that same.
I do. I like watching the older movies.
Well, wasn't it like the Charlie Chaplin or something where stand in front of the building and it'd fall over and he just happened to be standing in the spot where the window was or something, or opening?
Oh yeah,
That
for sure.
that was some balls to do that. That wasn't no video editing. You know?
No, exactly. That was all being creative and then understanding and being comfortable, like confident in physics or whatever the word is. Like confident that your prop people are going to do what needs to be done.
Yeah, here, stand on this X right here in the dirt, and we're gonna drop this building. You know, we're gonna tip it over, and you'll be fine. Just don't move.
Yeah, it was Buster Keaton. Who I think I enjoyed Buster Keaton's movies more than the other guy. Personally, his timing he has in the movies is incredible. M. Gabriel saying, remember plane models and Ultraman? All the kaiju movies were kind of like that. Godzilla and whatever, the little planes.
And that was
On the
that
line.
added to them, right? Like that. Again, that was you're watching it because of the story. Like, who cares if the planes aren't perfect? Like that's the whole.
Yeah.
You're not. We weren't watching it because of the special. Well, the special effects were awesome, but I don't know. Were we watching it because of special effects? Maybe we were, but we were watching it because of what was happening. A giant monster smashing airplanes, not because of the airplanes look so cool or whatever, or the giant monster looks so cool.
They were cool, you know, because they shot their little rockets and stuff, and you got explosions from it.
Oh yeah, they were super cool. I'm just saying, but we didn't look at it and we didn't pick it apart. We didn't go like, oh, there you could see a rope, or like, oh, the plane.
No, it wasn't Star
right in
Wars
physics or whatever. Yeah. On the other hand, if they didn't make something like a Godzilla or whatever it was that I keep saying Spielberg because he helped, I guess, but whatever his name is, we were just talking. I can't remember his name, Lucas, and them. If they hadn't grown up watching those movies with the strings that were dissatisfying to them, so that they wanted to go further, do more, then they would have never done more, right? If they never had, they would have been doing the puppets and strings and stuff, or maybe not even been inspired. So it all stacks, I guess, is what I'm saying. It all adds to each other, feeds to each other.
Is there any movie, like particular movie that pops to you guys' mind where the editing or special effects was just really, really bad?
I've seen a lot of bad movies for sure.
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer.
There's bad because they just don't care and they didn't even try. And then there's bad, like, is it Tromix? The people that were kind of playing into it and playing.
Yeah, the Tromobile.
Kind of save money at the same time, play into it. but then there's, I don't know. I guess there's probably some where they really, really tried and it came out bad. But I think I'd have to think of like movies right around Star Wars that were the worst, that they were probably trying to be good, but then didn't end up getting there.
If I don't know if I would call it
There's
bad,
that
but like
movie
Battle Beyond the Stars was not. It's not a great movie. It's basically Magnificent Seven in space.
but not good. Like they didn't even try doing it, in my opinion. They didn't try doing the effects and costumes and stuff anywhere near as much as some other movies.
No, I still liked it. I still do like it.
There was, I can't think of it, something 7 maybe, and it's this robot that has a desk light for a head, and the one guy keeps getting naked in it. And it's dang, I can't think of the name. It's pretty bad though. It's some movie where a space station, there's like 2 dudes and a girl, and it's like Farrah Fawcett or somebody. It's like some really hot girl.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's like something 7, Saturn 7 maybe, or something like that. And there's this
Yeah.
horrible robot, and it's the dumbest plot. And there's like 4 hallways, and the whole movie shot in these like 4 cruddy hallways that are supposed to be like hallways in a space station. And the plot isn't very good. And I can't remember the guy's name, but it's some old action hero, and he was already getting kind of old, and he insisted on being naked in the movie. And so he's like naked for some reason twice in the movie, and it's so weird, like, you know, just to have a guy naked. And yeah, it was such a bad, and the robot was so horrible, such a letdown. It was like this, it was kind of like that Roby robot where there's a guy in it and you can tell, and he's got wheels and he doesn't do anything. He's just inside this giant thing. And then they put like a desk lamp on top of it for a head, which they had
Saturn
to do.
3.
Saturn
Kirk
3.
Douglas.
Really bad movie. And I think they tried to
Farrah
make it a
Fawcett.
good movie because they had Farrah Fawcett in it. Like they thought it was going to be like a cool, sexy Star Wars, but it was just so bad.
I know I've seen it, but I don't remember it.
I was watching all the robot movies I could. That's where I came across it because I'd never seen it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't remember. Does it say who the guy is in it? Because he's an action star.
Yeah, it's Kirk Douglas.
Kirk Douglas. Yeah, I don't remember that guy in very many movies, but you know, he's like our parents. You know, Harrison Ford or something. But that one was tough, and I can handle a bad movie, but that one was just nonsense. That was just like hard to figure out. You know, I think some of those two were, what do they call them, tax shelters. Like they could, you know, if somebody had a lot of money, they could just spend it on a bad movie and write it all off, or write off a bunch of their earnings and taxes or something. Like for a long time, that was a thing, and we see movies with pretty big budgets just made because of that. Like a bunch of people needed to shelter some tax money.
Yep, Saturn 3 was the name of it. Oh my goodness. I'll have to take
You
this
can
out.
see it. It's easy. You know, I think it was on Amazon or something. I saw it without trying real hard. I didn't have to watch it on VHS or anything.
Says 2 lovers stationed at a remote base in the asteroid belt of Saturn.
Oh, you've got Harvey Keitel is also in it. So there's a couple good actors in it.
Yeah. And they're young, but still, like, they were all name brand at the time. Like, it wasn't like their first roles or anything. Which is why I think they really thought they were making an interesting, like, oh yeah, we're going to make a really good space version of a movie people are going to want to watch.
Looking back at movies, The Black Hole, I still really like that movie. It's not a great movie.
No, it makes no sense either. And there's definitely lack of, I don't know if it's skill or like attention, but the special effects, because it came out right around Star Wars, and it was not Star Wars level, and it was Disney, right? Like it had money.
Yeah.
I think it had like or not the money, but at least the ability. Like they had the resources, you'd think, like the creative resources to make a really cool Star Wars or Star Space movie.
It came out in 79.
But Star Wars had the toys. Star Wars had the follow-up movies. Just means they're still happening. Then it had like the whatever you call Disneyland element to it. There's a lot going on with Star Wars.
Yeah, that's where Lucas made a lot of money off the toys.
There's those shows about toys and they'll talk about Star Wars figures, but then there's whole movies just about the Star Wars figure phenomenon. And then there's movies about figures and how Star Wars figures kind of created that whole thing. So from all those different angles I've seen, I don't know, like, things that cover that original, because they made money on the first one, but then he figured out what was up and made real money on the second one. Like he made a bunch of money on the first one, but he also left a bunch of money on the table. From Empire on, I don't think he ever lost a dime, right? Like he made money all over the place, and then started developing things and releasing those, or like creating whole new, what do you call them, like industries with the animation and the special effects and stuff. So
yeah, when Mel Brooks made Spaceballs, he asked Lucas if it was okay to do
really?
it, and Lucas said, "Yeah, no problem, just no toys."
Oh, really? I don't like Spaceballs. I'm like the one guy in the world that doesn't like Spaceballs or Blazing Saddles or any of that guy's movie.
I do. I liked it. It's not. I don't love it, but I like Spaceballs. Blazing Saddles is a lot better movie.
Yeah. Well,
What about
one
the
thing in
Space
Spaceballs that cracked me up was when they're about to catch him, they jump to the door and all that, and they're like, "Ah, we got you." And then they're like, he's like, "You got the stunt doubles." It's like some dude with a beard and he had a wig on, and like he got the stunt doubles. So there were some funny parts in it, but yeah, it definitely was no Blazing Saddles.
The guy who, when they're in the desert and the black dude that says we ain't found shit.
Talking about Spaceballs now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same guy who played Tuvok.
When they're
Star
combing
Trek.
the desert.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
That's Tuvok.
Huh.
From
Years later.
Yeah.
Or years before, I guess, depending on how you're looking at it. Yeah.
From Star Trek Voyager.
I thought it was the guy that makes noises in Police Academy.
No, it's not
Isn't he in
Winslow.
that movie? Isn't he in that movie though? He's in Spaceballs, isn't he?
Yeah. He's
Just a different place in it.
He's
one of the
he's
people that
on the
does,
radar. He makes the
Yeah.
radar noises. Yeah, I didn't realize it until I saw a clip of what's his name? Trying to see what his real name is. Tim Russ. I saw a clip of him and he says that, yeah, nobody remembers that I was that guy.
Was that like one of his first roles or just an early role?
Oh, I don't know.
That was on like he wasn't on one of the ones I watched, so he must have been on like Deep Space Nine or something. Or what's that one?
Voyager, Star Trek Voyager.
Oh, he was on Voyager?
Yeah, he was in I think the Next Generation, but he played a different part. Played a bad guy.
So even though it's blasphemy, do you watch any of the Star Wars stuff or Star Trek stuff that's out now? There is a lot of Star Trek stuff also.
I have watched the Kelvin timeline stuff, but none of the TV shows.
Wait, what's the Kelvin? Oh, you mean the new movies?
Yeah, yeah, that's the
And
Kelvin
I like
timeline.
that. See, that's
he's
the thing.
doing.
There's the old Star Trek, and then there's the old Star Trek movies, and then there's all those different TV shows. And now there's the new set of movies where they just rebuilt everything, which is, I can handle it. I don't like Star Trek enough that I care. So I'm okay with the change. But
I watched
then
the
there's
first.
all these new shows.
Yeah, now I can't even remember the name of the Star Trek TV show. The one with Michael Byrne.
Michael Byrne.
Yeah.
You mean the first new generation or next generation?
No,
Michael
it's
Byrne.
the
Clean. Is that a Worf?
the one with the stupid Klingons.
Deep Space Nine?
No. It's they're newer than that.
Oh wait. You're talking the new shows.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of all the new shows either, so I'm bad at that. I don't know the difference between all the new shows, but
This-
I've tried to watch all the new shows.
Michael Burnham, Star Trek Discovery. I watched the first half of the first episode, and it sucked so bad. I refused to watch any more of it. Michelle Yeoh was in it, and I liked her character as a captain. I probably would have watched it if it was her, but not the rest of it. Just was terrible. And I've seen clips of it, which made it even worse.
Yeah, there he is. Spaceballs and then the Voyager.
In the like Discovery, lower ranking officers talk back to higher ranking officers, which you cannot have on a
Never
military
anywhere.
vessel.
Yeah, at all. Yeah.
They make snide comments, talk under their breath. You cannot have that. You have to have absolute discipline. Otherwise, you are not going to survive.
I think I've watched a chunk. Was that the mushroom one? Is that where they're flying around with
Yes.
mushrooms? Okay, I've
Yes.
watched some of that. It gets,
And then
it's tough.
she's Sarek's adopted daughter, so she's basically a not quite half sister to Spock, which is nowhere in canon.
Did you well, that's the thing. They're just making shit up because they got nothing else to do. Nobody
Well,
stops them.
and supposedly, I haven't watched it, so I'm going by what other people are saying. But Sarek likes her better than Spock, and he had a human daughter, so he could learn about humans. He was fucking married to a human,
Yeah.
Spock is half human. Is half Earthling, or I don't know if she was Earthling, but it just makes absolutely no sense.
So you didn't watch any of Discovery though enough
No.
to know the season 2 or anything? Because
No.
she dies and then stuff happens in season 2. I'm not gonna spoil it, but stuff happens. So
Well, you're not spoiling anything for me because I'm not going to watch it.
okay. Yeah, it's definitely weird, and they haven't done that. And well, I guess they kind of have done that in Star Wars. Really, I was going to say they haven't done that in Star Wars, but they kind of have.
Yes. The Pike, the guy who played Pike, seemed to be a strong character, but I didn't watch anything, so don't have a lot to go off of.
Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite. I just like that it did different things, and I definitely like the whole mushroom layer. I thought that was neat. But
Well, the
And
problem
it's
is
a
you now have a drive that can take you anywhere at any time instantly. Where that's not in the original Star Trek, and this happens before the original Star Trek, doesn't it?
yeah, exactly, and that's
So-
the problem. And nobody ever references. Remember when we had the mushroom spaceships or whatever, mushroom highways? But they kill it. They kill it in season 1, and they never, in a way that there's, I forget what it is. Like there's some critter. There was like some critter that made it happen, just like in Dune, and that critter was going to die if he kept doing it. So they essentially took it away from anybody ever doing it again, but not the possibility of it being used, which is what Kirk and everybody else who's reckless would have defaulted to, right? Or like resorted to. So makes no sense. And they would have never pursued, in all the time of Star Trek, they would have never pursued an artificial way of getting around with the mushrooms instead of using that critter that was hurting or whatever. It made no sense. That they would just forget about some massive tech like that, or at least ponder, like, I wish we could take the mushroom superhighway.
Well, fellers, I hate to leave good company, but I want to get out of here. It's 3 a.m. here, so better get some rest. So thanks for having me on, Foss. I appreciate you, buddy. And G Webs, we'll see you later. And Side
Thank you.
Chat, good seeing y'all.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in. Appreciate it.
Is there anybody awake still anymore?
There's 7
This is
people
weird
out there.
because it doesn't really tell me how many people are watching. I have no way of knowing. I guess if I go to YouTube and look at that number, it's the only way I can tell.
YouTube says 7. Let me click the live. Yeah.
It's like 6 people sleeping and then like one of us monitoring it.
Probably. We'll probably wrap it up here. We're at just over 2 hours.
See, I fell asleep whenever something was on. And I'm like, I'm just going to lay down for a minute. And then I woke up half an hour into your show. So I'm well rested. I got to outlast everybody this week. Usually I'm falling asleep like 2 seconds after the show's over lately.
And when I got home this morning, set up the chat, and then my daughter was watching TV, so I sat down next to her and fell asleep. Woke up a couple hours later, then laid down in bed. So
Now, your kid's pretty little. Does she decide what she's going to watch, or you set her down and show her what she's going to watch?
I pretty much we'll just turn something on. It'll be either
That's
the
what I mean.
Disney.
Like she's satisfied with whatever you turned on.
Yeah.
Or is it, okay. She's not making her decisions on what she wants to watch yet.
I'll ask her sometimes whether she wants to watch the TV or watch a DVD. But usually we'll just turn on one or the other.
And she's just like, "Hey, Daddy turned on a thing. I'm going to watch it."
Yesterday's comment said, "I'm awake," although the Star Trek talk almost put me down. And Mike McClune's going to hit the rack as soon as he finishes pancakes.
So if you had to pick one or the other, you can watch all of it, but you're only going to get one or the other, Star Trek or Star Wars.
Oh, that's tough because I enjoy them equally.
I like them both, but I think I'd have to pick Star Wars without even thinking about it hardly. Star Trek's okay,
I would-
but it's lame.
I would
Compared to
probably pick Star Trek if I had to pick one.
I could see it. I mean, there's a lot, and it would have definitely been a no-brainer 5 years ago, but they've been adding a lot to Star Trek. But it sounds like you don't like all the new stuff. Did you watch the cartoon Lower Decks?
No.
That's a whole nother level that I can see it if you add that kind of stuff, because Lower Decks is awesome. It's super cool.
I would just watch the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and then first 2 movies and Undiscovered Country.
See, that's already a bigger list than a lot of people would give Star Wars, right? Like that's a lot of stuff right there.
That's probably what I would watch. The Next Generation movies I didn't really like. And then the newer ones, they were fun. The one with Christopher Pine, they were fun, but they're not Star Trek.
See, I think that's, I don't know. I hear you, but I like the new ones equally as much as the old ones. And I think the new ones, even though they're different, they're like plywood. They like makes Star Trek stronger. And like I said, I just never loved Star Trek enough that I care. So I'm okay with it starting all over. And the effects are way better and the stories are fun. There are some bad things. I can see why people don't like them. They're kind of dumb, but anyway, I think they make Star Wars or Star Trek stronger for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. But
Well, I'm just saying overall, they give it way more weight on the scale compared to Star Wars, which is massive. Star Trek isn't like, well, I guess some people would disagree with me, but if you're weighing them both, Star Wars has a lot of stuff going for it, but size of it, even if you don't like whole elements of Star Wars, there's so much of it that there's going to be something you like in there. With Star Trek, it used to just be way more limited, but lately it's gotten just huge, like giant compared to, I don't know, the 90s. I mean, just in the 2000s, it tripled in size, Star Trek, with all the other shows and all the new movies and the cartoons, and I guess that's it. I don't really think about games and stuff, but we should probably be including games if we really wanted to. You ever played video games? There was some Star Wars video games that were amazing. You could run around being a Star Wars dude.
I played one on the PS1 or 2, and then I had one for the PS3, and it felt exactly like the earlier ones from the PS1, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I don't know enough about them. I know I played a Star Wars game where you could go online and play with other people, though, and that was nuts. You were basically playing Star Wars with people over the internet.
Yeah, I don't like to do games like that.
It was just, it's open world, essentially. So there's like all these battles going on, and you would just drop into one, and you'd just be part of a giant battle going on. It's kind of
there's a Star Trek one that's like that, too.
Oh, there is. Okay, so that's, like I say, I don't know nothing about that stuff really, but we should probably be including it if we were really trying to be fair. I don't know. If I could fly around in a Star Trek video game or a Star Wars video game, I mean, I like dropping in as a stormtrooper. And I can't think of anything in Star Trek that's as cool as some of the ships and things you can do in Star Wars. Star Trek was a lot more like talking about stuff and whatnot. Because, you had the Enterprise, but you didn't really have motorcycles or little ships. You had those shuttles.
Star Trek had more morality lesson.
Yeah. There wasn't like, let's get into
mad sci-fi.
X-Wings and battle it out with TIE fighters. Like, that didn't happen very often. Like the car chase, I guess. There's no car chases in Star Wars or in Star Trek. In Star Wars, it's all car chases.
Yeah, not the new Star Trek, yes. The Kelvin timeline, that's all car chase. The old ones, no.
Well, I guess that's true. They did add that element to it.
And that's what kind of took it away from being, to me.
Oh, now here's the difference too. In Star Wars, there's like some love interest stuff. There's like some, there's Anakin and Leia.
Yeah.
And then what's his face and his mom. But then in Star Trek, it's constantly. There's all kinds of, Kirk essentially falls in love every episode almost. And I don't know, the other ones, it's in there.
That's partly probably because Roddenberry was a horn dog. When he laid out the Star Trek universe, he also planned out how each species had sex.
Nice.
Cheated on his wife a lot. He cheated on his wife with Majel Barrett.
Who's that?
Who became his wife. She was in the Star Trek.
Oh.
She's the voice of the computer, and then she played nurse. Can't think of her name.
I think I do remember hearing that his wife was the voice of the computer, but I didn't know that it was something like that where he was married to somebody else and then.
Yeah. And then in Next Generation, she was Lwaxana Troi. She's Deanna Troy's mom.
Huh.
That's Majel Barrett.
I barely remember her from that, but that's interesting. And I didn't know that about the dude, but that makes sense then why he would incorporate that element to it. And Star Wars, I don't know why they didn't put that in there, other than maybe cowboy movies didn't have that very often. There was usually like at the end he comes back to his girlfriend or whatever, or his wife, but cowboy movies didn't have like a bunch of love stuff in the middle of it. So Star Wars really didn't have too much of that.
Yeah.
Had a little string of it here or there. And then again, like cars or vehicles, like Star Trek, there's the ships that they get around in, and every once in a while, as a plot device, there's like some kind of vehicle, but you almost never see like a speeder or a pursuit vehicle. There's never like space battles, hardly like the Borg and stuff. They're essentially just floating in space, zapping each other. Nobody's flying around, except for like you say in the new ones.
I'll say the two things that always bug me about Star Trek is one, the security always get their ass kicked. The Federation security aren't worth a damn. They always get their ass kicked. And then
Well,
two,
because they depend on like phasers or whatever. They like assume that they're always just gonna be able to have this phaser in their hand and control the situation that way.
all the Star Trek ships, the Federation ships, are easy to hack. Any species can come along and hack their ships and take them over.
Yeah, I figured they're just open source and that's their vulnerability, but it's also their strength. So I kind of get that in the big picture, but only I would have never got that until I learned, all the different proprietary software, and then that there was an option called open source. And I definitely didn't write that in knowing any of that. That was just, it all felt, just happened to fall into place like that. But I don't know if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it's like the open version, which would make sense with Star Trek. Like, hey, feel free, you're encouraged to adapt and make this better. And we have this kind of all modular so that the ship can fall apart and we can still, take the 5 pieces that remain and plug them together and still make something out of that. Like it makes sense. But yeah, then that also means that an enemy is just going to, especially a smart enemy, is just going to walk up and go, hey, thanks for essentially making your ship out of Legos. I'm going to rebuild it in this configuration. So I kind of get it, but yeah, they don't really act like they knew what was coming and called their shot. They just allow every species to start hacking the ship from the beginning. But I think that goes back to Star Trek is all like a bunch of, like you said, thought-driven plots and stuff. The actual physical stuff is like an afterthought, where it seems like with Star Wars,
Star Wars has sister kissing.
Well, that's a whole different element. But I guess I was going to say that with Star Wars, he'll sit down and go, here, I want the ships to look like this, and I want their costumes to look like this, and then I want the aliens to look like this, and now let's write the movie around that. Like Star Trek, it's like, hey, let's write the movie, and then I don't care, make the aliens look green or make the aliens look different. Give one of them a spaceship.
For, I think it was Phantom Menace, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, one of the character designers, he talked about it, where they'll come up with, they'll maybe get a kind of a thumbnail sketch for ships, what they want. And they'll design all these ships and Lucas will come in and look at them on the board and say, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, yes. And that's it.
Oh yeah. I've seen that from Star Wars when they were talking in one of the shows I was watching about toys. They were saying essentially the same thing, that the guy would, like, the Robot Factory or the Droid Factory or whatever, that toy that came out at some point. That whole toy is because the guy who drew one of the guys that drew robots at, is it Kenner or Hasbro or whoever, he just had a ton of robot drawings that nobody had picked yet, and then they were like, go make a toy with robots in it, and he's like, all right, I got 1 million robot drawings, so give me, pick it, point at 5 of them. But yeah, that guy or whatever, Lucas would from Star Wars days, he would do that. Give me 3 versions of C-3PO. Okay, make them look like this, but give them his eyes or something. But I thought that was kind of neat. That's why, or that's how you get a movie that has such as a precision, like such quality, I guess, is because the guy knew what he wanted. He doesn't know exactly what he wanted, but he knew what he wanted, and he was gonna keep asking for new versions until he got what he wanted, the look he wanted or whatever, or the combinations he wanted. Where I'm sure with other movies and the budgets and stuff, they were like, hey, we can afford to make the robot, you can have this robot or that robot, and the director just picks one instead of saying, nope, give me a third option. Whoa.
So G-Webs, is there anything you want to plug?
It's today, Saturday. It says, I guess, She Fires will be live tomorrow. and Gun Owners Radio, which is San Diego County Gun Owners Organization, hosts a radio show. Both of those will be live tomorrow.
Are you going to be whatnotting tomorrow?
I don't know. I did well the first time I whatnotted on Sunday, and then I did horribly last time. So probably not. I've added so much more stuff, but I'm trying to figure out when to do my whatnot. I don't think Sunday morning is the time to do it, so I don't think so. But I don't know if Sunday afternoon is the time to do it, so I don't know. I do need to start trying more times, though. So maybe Sunday afternoon we'll try. What's wrong with this dog? I'm getting a new dog.
Oh, you got him for free, so.
Yeah, get rid of him. Sneezing all the time now.
But appreciate everybody that was out there in the live chat.
You had a lot of people in here today too. Barbecue was in here, and
Yeah.
Pancakes, and Gizzard, and Hillbilly, and somebody else.
You.
Gizzard and Pancake, Barbecue, Hillbilly. I guess that was it.
Yeah, there were 6 of us, I think.
Six, I think.
Total. If you watch this replay, leave a comment. Whatever we talked about. What's your favorite Star Wars gun? Do you like Star Trek? What's your favorite Star Trek movie? Wednesday, there should be a mouse party, and next weekend is an off weekend. So, if you haven't checked out gearwebsites.com for 2A related stickers, patches, and whatnot, head over there, poke around. If you need help designing a logo or tech design or 3D printing, anything like that, he can help you out with that.
Thanks for that. I think I'm going to steal that and then add the and whatnot to it. And then, you know what I mean? Like that actually works out pretty good.
Yeah. So I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.
You still here? It's over. Go home.